but I think the challenging part when it comes to relationships is understanding, like, how would this person approach the situation? Or like, what would you do in this situation? I think it's so important to, one, be friends first, two, communicate, but also, like, if you feel like you're not clear on where you want to go and the other person isn't clear on where they want to go, I feel like it's a disaster, because now you have two people that don't know what they want. But I feel like when at least one of you knows, like, hey, I have an idea, like, this is what I want to do, like, you figure it out together. And obviously that's something that I feel like we kind of figured out, even our relationship, like, we figured it out as we go. We didn't have everything perfect, but again, it goes back to like that same mindset mentality.
Just making sure you're on the same page in the same direction too.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Jasmine.
My name is Matthew Cone.
And this is the 1% Better Everyday Podcast, a space for you to learn, connect, win, and just learn from life, relationships, business, everything entrepreneurship. And today, well, we're doing episode 31, but we also want to catch up with you guys about how the week has been. So I know you just went to Vegas. How was that?
I shot a vlog. That was probably the worst hotel experience I've ever had in my life, but I made it there, I made it back. I did my job, so I'm very happy of the outcome.
How was your trip?
Your hotel experience, I feel like, affects your trip. Like, if the hotel...
I was going to say, go back. Why did you even go to Vegas?
Well, I went to Vegas because SolarCon 2025, so I don't know if you guys know, but we live on the West Coast. So with that in the West Coast, a lot of the West Coast is, as far as like manufacturing and like stuff that they're trying to do, is like 10 times faster or 20 times, 100 times faster than what's going on the East Coast. Not only because of the weather, but more money, just stuff that we can do in general, right? So on the West Coast, solar and electric is a big, huge thing. And that's actually one of my clients, or two of my clients, they're in the solar. So every year they have this event. David Goggins was there. Some of the guys from Shark Tank was there speaking to on the panel and stuff like that. So just a collective of people all over the country just came specifically to Vegas to network with people that are in the solar industry, what's going on in the solar industry, the new things that are going on in the solar industry, and just trying to figure out like what's next, because it's a small, I wouldn't say it's a small like industry, but it's like everybody knows each other within the industry. Like especially the people that we knew at the office, like I seen 20 of them at SolarCon just because of all the stuff that we've been doing in the past year. So it was really cool, really interesting to see, learn some stuff. But again, like anytime you go on a trip, your hotel experience, I feel like, is going to affect the whole trip. So trash hotel, like in the casino, they were still letting people smoke cigarettes. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I said, this is not the 80s anymore. There's no way they're still letting people just smoke cigarettes while they're gambling. Like, the shit was crazy. But
are you a service-based entrepreneur that provides some kind of service, but you don't know how to create content in order to convert someone from following you into a paying client? I'm going to tell you exactly what to post in order to start generating more leads, attract high-paying clients, and get more DMs than you can possibly answer. I will help you how to find your niche, how to find your target audience, and craft offers that will attract top buyers every time you go to make a post. Text me content to 513-516-7332 to learn more on how you can get mentored by me for only $99 a month.
The trip was like 50-50. Like I said, the most important thing is that I got there safe and I got back safe. So
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, you're not really much of a gambler, so for you it's a work trip, but you know, I think it's pretty cool that you get to share these experiences on the podcast, because I remember like years ago, we wish, you know, we would have been able to work with brands where they would fly us out, or we could go to different states.
I mean, shit, no, not really. We've been doing that. Like, so we could take it as far as back as 2019, 2020. Like, I was working with Desi. Like, I was getting flown to Atlanta. Like, honestly, I've been traveling and getting paid for it since I started my business. So this traveling for me is nothing new. Like, I was so locked in on traveling, I meal prepped, drove my own car. Like, that's how locked in I was. And with this traveling trip, it didn't, of course, didn't work out like how I wanted to work out. But I'm an expert traveler when it comes to business. at this point in my life.
Yeah, because you've always been pretty good about that, and you always get clients or just contracts or people that want you to fly out and record them and film with them, which is pretty cool.
Super blessed about that. Like, I've been traveling for business for almost 6 years. I've been all over the country, East Coast, West Coast. I've been to DC, I've been to Atlanta, I've been to Miami, I've been to Dallas, like I've been to where was I? Hollywood, California. Like, I got paid to fly out there. Like, I'm super blessed. So
yeah. Well, and I know today's episode is actually a little bit of an important topic, but also I know we have covered this a little bit more before on our channel, but it kind of goes into what we're talking about, how, you know, we've been able to go through a lot of these experiences as a couple, which I think is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But also the importance of being on the same page as a couple and understanding, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you know, sometimes you won't get to see your partner for days. You won't be able to see your partner for weeks because they're traveling and, you know, they're taking care of business. But that's something that you have to be on the same page about. And I'm actually glad that we were kind of going into this topic, because I remember being back in Cincinnati. Like you said, you have been doing this for a while and you've been traveling.
Yeah.
But I remember even in Cincinnati, you used to travel for like weeks. Like it was like a week and a half. And,
yeah, I'd be going,
you know, obviously I was in college and I was busy and I was doing my own thing. So yeah, we've always been pretty understanding about how, you know, when we have goals and when we have moves, you know, we have to do what's required in the moment. So going into that, you know, because I know we both have been in previous relationships where sometimes it didn't align, or sometimes, you know, it was just different. Like, what would you say has been the biggest, I guess, factor into our relationship and being aligned on the same page?
Being friends first. Most importantly, being friends first and actually getting to know each other. Like in previous relationships, I didn't feel like I knew the person, or I didn't feel like I had established an actual friendship or relationship with that person, and rushed into things. And that's no fault to like the people around me, but I didn't have anybody to tell me like, oh, you're doing that wrong, or maybe you should go in this direction instead of this direction, or maybe you should pay attention to stuff like that. So our relationship right now is based off of me just fucking up in the past, and also incorrectly dealing with the relationships that I had in the past. And like 9 times out of 10, like you're either gonna learn from your mistakes, or you're gonna keep doing the same mistakes over and over again. So this time around, I just simply learned from my bad mistakes I had made.
Yeah, and I know you can speak to like the male perspective, but I know from like a woman perspective, I know sometimes as women we tend to do this a lot, but you tend to like fall for the idea of something. And I know definitely in the past, like that's something that we even spoke about early on, is like looking back on my previous relationships, it was always like I liked the idea of it or where it could go, but again, it never lived up to that expectation I had in my head, because 1, I wasn't with the right people, and 2, like you said, maybe sometimes you just don't even know the person at all.
At all, whatsoever.
And I think for a woman, especially when you're an ambitious woman, I'm so glad that we brought up this topic. It's so important for you to be, you know, in a relationship with someone that has the same drive and the same ambition as you. Because if not, I feel like you will be shrinking yourself or making yourself small to
accommodate that person.
Accommodate the other person. And that's something that we talked about where, you know, every time that I had like these big dreams or big goals with like previous partners, it was almost like they didn't know how to approach it, or they didn't know how to deal with it, because they had never experienced someone that had big dreams like I did. And so for me, not that I had to put myself in a box, but I kind of started to question myself. I'm like, okay, are my dreams way too big? Are my dreams, you know, just unrealistic? Are they something that are just not attainable? And then, you know, obviously when I met you and we became friends, like you had the same mindset as me, and you had that same mentality of like, oh, well, we're just going to make it happen. And again, it was because we were friends first for a really long time and we got to know each other. But I also feel like it was because at that stage in our life, we had the same values and we had the same goals, and we knew what we wanted in life.
Yeah, that mindset is super duper important. Like, I tend to not relate to a lot of people just because of my ambitions and my goals and the stuff that I want to do. So it's like being able to, I had made a YouTube video last week, and I just put it out today about you being a teammate of mine and being a partner of mine, and we talk about business a lot, and I wasn't having conversations with people like that outside of you. And also just people understanding my mindset. You can have the same goals and ambitions, but it's the understanding and the actions behind it too. And you've always been an understanding person. You always take the actions behind it as well to achieve those goals that we're trying to achieve. So
Yeah, and going back to that, I think like I can only speak from obviously like the woman's perspective, but I know, again, just coming from personal experience, is that sometimes you don't even get to know the person, but two, you don't even know what you want. And that's why I said, like, I mean, I was still pretty young when I met you. I was like, what, 21, 22, I think, or turning 22. And, you know, obviously, I think even from like a young age, now looking back, like I always knew what I wanted. You know, even if there was like certain stages in my life where I was unclear or I didn't know what my next direction was, like that's something that I've always known what I wanted in life. And I feel like you've kind of always been that way as well. Like you've always told me, like ever since you were younger, like you were always following your passion, and not that you have to obviously do that from a young age, but again, it goes back to values and like, do you even align with the person? Because I feel like as women, like something I said at the beginning was that we tend to glamorize or like the idea of what something could be instead of looking at the facts and realizing, is this person actually aligned with you? And again, just speaking from personal experience, you know, again, I think it's so important to, one, be friends first, two, communicate, but also like if you feel like you're not clear on where you want to go and the other person isn't clear on where they want to go, I feel like it's a disaster because now you have two people that don't know what they want. But I feel like when at least one of you knows like, hey, I have an idea, like this is what I want to do, like you figure it out together. And obviously that's something that I feel like we kind of figured out, even our relationship, like we figured it out as we go. We didn't have everything perfect, but again, it goes back to like that same mindset mentality.
just making sure you're on the same page in the same direction too, because what tends to happen is people grow apart or people get into relationships and they already are not necessarily compatible or on the same page, and they never get on the same page.
Key thing
so
what you
much
just
stuff.
said is being compatible. And I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, like looking back at previous relationship, like there's always like red flags, or not even red flags, but there's always warning signs like when you're not on the same page. And a huge one that I will just
And we'll never be on the same page.
yeah, and, and this is not to call out men, but I think this is a huge one that I've just noticed in my previous relationships is that, you know, if people are talking more about what they wish that they wanted to do instead of actually putting the action or the effort behind it, I think for me that was always a huge disconnection with mindset because I work so hard. And I think I've told you a story before, like not to laugh at anybody from my previous past or like anything, but I just remember like there was this one person that I was obviously, you know, had a relationship with, and I remember that they were trying to match my work ethic, and they got like I think 2 to 3 jobs at a time, and they couldn't do it. And I'm using that example because again, that was like another example where it doesn't mean like obviously I wanted my partner to go work 3 jobs, but it was just the fact that you had to go out and do that in order for you to feel like you had to match whatever I was doing. And so it goes back to like, and I want to use this example specifically because I think that sometimes women kind of ignore these signs. But again, like if your partner doesn't have that mentality of like, hey, how can I learn more? How can I work more? How can I get ahead more? Then it's not going to align. And it was one of those situations where like I knew the person, you know, like to talk more than they take action. And it was always like, I wish, instead of putting action. And you don't even have to work 3 jobs, like study. That's the biggest thing that I feel like that's something that you and me even aligned on. We're like, we're always wanting to learn. We're always wanting to just be open-minded, get better. And I feel like that's a huge characteristic, at least for me, that I know that I need in a person. Like I need people around me to get better, to want to know more and learn more from life.
Matt, I need your help growing my social media audience.
All right, guys, if you need help growing your social media audience, make sure you text 602-390-7002. Once again, it's 602-390-7002.
And again, we just had that similar characteristic, at least, you know, and it was also easier because again, we did get to know each other and we were friends for a long time.
And just being, again, that's just simply just being on the same page because past relationships, like communication was terrible. And not only did I learn to be more patient, but I also learned to communicate better. And then not only do you have to communicate better to be on the same page, but you have to have a level of understanding where that person is coming from too.
Yeah, and I use that as an example because, again, it's not about, obviously, like when you first meet someone, like it's not about them having the most money or being the richest or having all these things. It's just that mentality piece. Like, are you willing to put in the effort to, get us out of the situation or at least get better together? And going back to what you said in the beginning of the podcast, which I think is so important, is one, getting to know people, obviously communicate, really understand what is it that you want out of life, like not just what is other people's favorite color, what do they like to do for hobbies. Like, I think I don't want to say it's hard, but I think the challenging part when it comes to relationships is understanding, like, how would this person approach the situation? Or like, what would you do in this situation? And something that you said was, again, having those like similar interests. And it goes back to, you don't have to have like the most money, you don't have to have everything, but is there something that the other person believes in that you believe in too? And it doesn't always have to be money. Like, it can be free things. It can be, just the effort behind it.
Or it can be monetary because, look, at the end of the day, everybody's relationship is different and everybody gets in relationships differently. But what makes successful relationships is the stuff that we're talking about. But I do tend to see people getting in relationships for specific reasons or monetary value or a family value. Like, they see that other person has a big family and they want to be a part of that too. So everybody has the idea or concept of what their relationship should look like and why they're involving themselves in a relationship in the first place too. But again, to say all that, you still have to be on the same page if you want to have a successful relationship.
Yeah, but going back to, I think, something that you said that was really important is not only being on the same values, obviously, and what you believe in, but I think even finances. Like, that's something that I had to learn being a little bit older, is you have to be on the same page about finances. You have to be on the same page about health. You have to be on the same page about like family, like you said. You have to be on the same page about, and this is where we can kind of open the conversation up a little bit, because I know people have different beliefs about this, but I think this is just my personal opinion. When it comes to a relationship, like, we are obviously opposite in a lot of things. So we're not saying like you have to be just like your partner, you have to be, the same in every single like way or sense or thing. But again, it's, are you willing to work with one another and figure it out, or see, hey, these are your strengths, see, these are my strengths, and this is how we're going to help each other out. And the reason I'm saying that is because I know that there's things that are not my strength, and I know that there's things that you feel like are my strength better than you're better at them. And for example, like, I think that you even talked about this on a podcast recently, is how fitness has always been a part of my life. Like, I've always been going to the gym since I was like 8, just because my dad was always an active person. At least he tried to make us active. And so that was even something that, like, you were kind of on and off with the gym, and I kind of told you, like, I wish you would go to the gym with me. Like, I wish you could do that with me. And so for, a period of time, like, we weren't working out together, or we just didn't align in that sense because you didn't have any interest in the gym. But again, just by you taking some interest or now being more interested in it, I feel like that's even like another part of our relationship where we've gotten closer, because now we have the same eating goals. Now we have the same fitness goals. Like, now you see how much it changes your day and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it boils down to, which is like, to me, one of the biggest factors in a relationship, because I never had it, is dependability. I've always been a lone wolf type of person. When I needed to get stuff done, I did it by myself, or if I needed to move on to stuff that I did by myself, I didn't, even in the previous relationships I had, there was no dependability in it. Now I can depend on you for so much stuff that it's like, I can not necessarily relax, but I can kind of chill and sit back because we're on the same page. I can depend on you to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have that before, so. And
maybe we can do like a part 2, but I know this is like a whole nother conversation, is when it comes to finances, also being on the same page as that. Because I know, like, so many women just have different beliefs about, like, should you get married first or all that stuff, and
do what's best for you.
Do what's best for you. And, something that I'm just going to say on this podcast over and over again is, like, this is what works for us. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of the things that also, I know what I was going to say earlier, but a lot of things that you learn in relationships also stem from what did you see as a child, or what did you see growing up? And again, for me, like, even if my parents kind of went through ups and downs, like, they were always partners. Like, they were always protecting each other. They were always, you know, just getting each other's back, or they were always trying to see how can we figure it out together. And so, not to say that you have to do it this way or that this is the best way, but I just know for me, like, that was something that we started off our friendship like that. We started off our relationship like that, where we were like, hey, you know, in this relationship, we're equals. Like, you're going to do this and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to take care of this. Because I don't know about you other women, but I wasn't about to be a bum and not pay for anything, or because I wasn't raised like that. For me, it was always like, take care of your own, make sure you're making your own money. And I shouldn't have said bum, but again, that's just not something that I believe in. Like, I like to take care of me.
There's a lot of bums out here.
Yeah.
I seen this video on Twitter, and it said something about women not self-identifying as being broke, and I thought that was hilarious, because it's like no woman wants to say I'm broke, or at least nothing that.
I think that's gonna be a conversation. We're gonna do a part 2, because that could go so much more in depth.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know finances is a huge part of people's identity, and not to say like you have to come into a relationship being rich, but it's the mindset behind it. Like, if you don't have any money in the moment, are you willing to go out there and make some money to take care of your family? Are you willing to go out there?
Some people are just lazy.
And hustle when it gets hard, or support your partner? Because, I mean, let's just knock on wood, but let's just say the day of tomorrow, like, all the bills rely on one partner only, and then what are you going to do when you have to step up to the plate? Like, these are things that you guys have to think about, you know, when you're in the relationship, or when you even, before you start dating.
No, it's important. Stepping up for your partner as well. Like that, and that's why I was talking about dependability. Like when I was out of town, I needed some cash, and I was able to text her and call her, and she had it. Like, anything that she asked for, I make sure I'm able to get it for her as well. Like, having a dependable partner and not having to have like a single argument about it, or no frustration out of it. Like, we just know we get shit done.
Yeah.
And that's a big, huge thing for your partners. Can your partner get the shit done that you need them to get done?
And also, I think that, again, this just works for us at least, is because we have a lot of trust in each other. Like, I've always been super upfront with you, or at least I've tried to, and we have a lot of trust with each other. And we've also actually been super transparent since the beginning. Like, when we started our friendship, we kind of came into it, and you told me, hey, this is what happened in my past, and I told you, hey, this is what happened in my past, and like, we were pretty transparent. And I think that, honestly, that's the most important thing when it comes to any relationship, is being transparent and being able to talk about it.
Yeah,
because I know even in past relationships, like, I know not all men are like this, but a lot of men put their ego, and they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear what you went through in the past. They don't want to hear about like another dude, or like another, you know, relationship. But again, I think it helps, because it helps you become better, or at least not repeat the same mistakes that you did in the past.
And help you understand no person too. Yeah.
And going to your point, like, I know from past relationships, correct, for me, I didn't have a trust in the person, because I just knew their actions, or, you know, where, like you said, they lied or they didn't keep their word. And it's really hard to trust people like that. Another sign that maybe you just don't align in that sense.
Facts.
But I think we're going to go ahead and do a part 2 on that, because I know we could go so much more in depth. But you guys know that at the end or at the beginning of every episode, we always like to shout out a subscriber. And this week we want to go ahead and shout out Aaron Williamson. He actually commented on our last reel, and he said 2 of my favorite people. So if you guys don't know who Aaron Williamson, you guys can go, Aaron V. Williamson is. You guys can go follow him on Instagram. His handle is AARONV, and then Williamson with 2 L's. But if you guys don't know who he is, he's actually I don't even want to call him a celebrity trainer, because I don't know if he still likes to go.
Yeah, celebrity fitness trainer.
Yeah. So he's a celebrity fitness trainer. He's actually someone that we got to work with, and he's worked with like The Rock and all these other celebrities.
Zac Efron.
But I wanted to go ahead and shout him out, because one, I really feel like he helped me a lot get more into, not only my more disciplined, I would say, fitness era, but he's always been super helpful with giving us tips, giving us, you know, hacks, you know, just pouring into both of us so much. Like, I know you even got to travel with him.
Yeah, I got
And
to
he
travel
gave you a
with
lot
him
of
multiple
advice.
times. Worked
Yeah.
with him last week I literally just was talking to him on Monday too. So
Yeah, but I just wanted to shout him out because I think that, you know, a lot of our listeners are friends and family and just supporters, and we appreciate you guys so much because you guys help us along the journey. And that's what we're here for, is obviously to pass it on. And, you know, everything that we learn, we share on this podcast, and you guys are the first to know because we know how much people have helped us, and that's why we keep showing up, is because we want to help you guys.
that's the reason why we've been successful, is because of you guys. So
Yeah, but that is it for episode 31. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, you guys.